Save the front row seat for the
Oh, you've already got it.
Thank you.
You did nothing.
Almost easier to deal with. Right? Yeah, well, you're never home.
I am never home.
Once you're there, you might not.
Yeah.
Who are you?
He might have touched you once before you,
Yeah.
Stranger.
then when you get time for this.
Yeah.
These are fun down.
I.
Where'd you go? My dad was in Ohio.
The banks are really on now, jeez.
On to Cleveland Workouts Gangs,
Yeah.
in 7-5.
Oh, wow.
Idea. That's where.
Please. Join us. Yes. The kids table at Thanksgiving.
We're gonna talk Russell first, okay? I know you beat me. You probably 4 hours a day.
Now he's glad to be here. Oh. Good evening, welcome to the study session, September 23rd. It's call to order. Mary, you do a roll call, please.
Yes, I will. Councilmember Bush.
Yes.
Councilmember Stearns. Here. Councilmember Gilmore.
Here.
Mayor Isko.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman. Here. Councilmember Sapp. Here. Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here. Thank you, Mary. Right, next first item is City Manager Mark Ziegler has information for us about the 2026 budget.
It's gonna be the first and only item today, council. We kind of combined the ad hoc discussion just into this discussion at the same time. Because we felt like it.
It was just more appropriate, right, to have that discussion. So, first and foremost, we've got other department directors and staff in the audience tonight, as well as at the table. So if you have any questions, this is intended to be an interactive process, really to get guidance from the council on where, how the 2026 budget is going to be formulated. We've been putting a bunch of work into this, including the council retreat starting in May, on May 5th, to discuss service level priorities. You'll see the budget calendar on the screen in front of you tonight. We're down at September 23rd, where the study session is taking place. We're currently working on, excuse me, let me go back. We're focusing on the general fund budget tonight. Just to be clear, the utility budgets are a little bit more in process, and those will be coming to you with the preliminary budget as a whole. You'll see the 26th, our master fee schedule, changes are due from departments to the finance department, so we can compile those and bring those to you later as a proposal. October 1st, preliminary budget decisions will be discussed with the leadership team based on tonight's discussion with council. By October 10th, budget summaries were due, so that's part of the budget book. Drafting the summaries about the budget for 2026, how it affects their department. Finance, not just September 8th through October 10th, but really, as we've talked about, budgeting is a year-round process. It's a dynamic document that is managed by all of our departments and the finance department throughout the year. So September 8th through October 10th is not the true period of time that we're creating this budget. That's where all the work is being done to put together the preliminary budget for council and consider the public hearing on November 4th.
And again, a final hearing on the 18th with final adoption on December 2nd. We plan on having a supplemental, a 2025 supplemental budget. That's the last item within the calendar there back in December to true up some of the costs and expenditures this year. Identify some of the revenue streams that have, that we've been fortunate enough to incur this year, but the associated costs with those and maybe some shifts within particular department budgets to cover associated costs of projects at the same time. So a little chewing up. Any questions about the budget calendar? All right. We'll roll, and hopefully you saw the hard copies in front of you. I need to make this a bigger screen. Not that big. I've used this Venn diagram in the past. I think it really represents the reality of what we're dealing with municipal finance these days. You'll see the intersection of the circles, and that's really where, if you will, the rubber meets the road, right? So I want stable services up in the left-hand corner. I want low density up in the right-hand corner. So where those meet are the high taxes that you have, because you have less of a tax base to pay for the stable services that you may have. Down at the bottom, low tax rates, again, up to the top left-hand corner, I want stable services. That means more density, right? You're sharing the load, you're sharing the costs of these services amongst the community and spreading that out. On the top right, I want low density and I want low taxes. That means your service levels have to decrease at some point. You cannot sustain that. So, and then in the middle, it's just a world that does not exist. We're constantly manipulating our budget, managing our service levels in order to meet all three of these quadrants with this Venn diagram. It's really dynamic, like I talked about. The budget process is year round. We're working on it constantly. We're adjusting how we spend the available resources that the community gives to the city and trying to weigh that with the council's priorities moving forward. Service providing. I think this is a good representation of a graphic that's not talked about often. I think Mary Ricker for putting this together. I've seen this utilized in practice in other jurisdictions. And so we took the actual property taxes allocated in the city of Shelton and divided that out with a $1 bill for visual representation. You'll see local school levies are 35% of that dollar of one's property tax for somebody that owns property in a city. City is 23% of that, or 23 cents of every dollar. State schools, another 23 cents or 23% as you go down the county. The Shelton Metropolitan Park District, Hospital District, Library, and Port. So gives you a little bit representation of how those property taxes are distributed. If you haven't looked at your tax bill, you go on your tax sifter. The county sends it out anymore, frankly, to individual property owners, but on the county's website, you can look down and find how those are distributed out each and every year. So I want to start with council strategic goals. These are the 22 through 25 strategic goals adopted again back in 22. So the mission of the city of Shelton strives to build a strong community and quality of life. Vision, Shelton is a community of active lifestyles, accountable government, engaged citizens, safe streets, strong work ethics, and inspiring leaders. There are 3 elements to these strategic goals, and I just highlighted a few as they are defining properties of developing this 2026 budget. Under clearly defining the future is planning proactively. We need to plan proactively, not just financially, but with our service levels and how we're distributing and providing those services to our community. Transparent, long-range financial plans across all funds. Again, part of this discussion tonight is not only the 26 budget, but looking forward over several more years and how the available resources will continue providing those services over time. As you know, we've dedicated in-fund balance to balancing the general fund budget over the years. We've done a great job this year as that those costs continue to rise and the services become more expensive to provide, that erodes that in-fund balance. Community safety, ensuring public safety services are funded and staffed appropriately, and managing full life cycle of community assets, and then engaging the community, investing in technology that enables timely and high quality services. We have approached this budget with sustainability and proactive financial planning. Within that, we have continued to review the 2023 Financial Sustainability Task Force's recommendations for implementation moving into the future. We've done a lot of that already, but there's always places we can go back and refer to make sure that we're meeting some of those recommendations. Focusing on core services. Core services obviously revolve on public safety and commerce here at the city of Shelton. So we want to make sure those are values and core services that we're going to maintain. Strategically planning, not being reactive, being proactive, being strategic, planning on those in the future, making sure that we can sustain the services realistically rather than coming back and reevaluating on a regular basis, and those services change on an ongoing basis, so we can be as transparent as possible and predictable as possible as well. That's being strategic. The intentional decision making. Again, we have a path forward. We have these visions, mission, vision, values, and our goals. Those are intentional decision making processes. We're following those when we're making these decisions and being proactive and not reactive. Staff retention and development. We've heard this over and over from our staff. We're in a competitive market in a place that competes with the South Sound region, Thurston County, with the cities of Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, the state. It's a market that the city of Shelton can't compete with. It's very important that we retain staff with that institutional knowledge, and the staff that want to work for the city of Shelton, want to provide the best service possible. But there's a threshold there, right? It's about compensation. It's also about workload. At some point, if you can't maintain the appropriate level of staff, the workload falls on a fewer number of staff, and then it becomes a point where somebody decides they may need to move on. So we want to continue recognizing that. And again, it's not always compensation, but it's valuing our employees, providing the benefits that they deserve. It's also making sure they have a work-life balance. Make sure they have the ability to go home to their families at a reasonable hour, making sure they can take the vacations they want without feeling like they're leaving a lot of work on the table, either for their coworkers or subordinates, or it's waiting for them when they come back to work. Public safety, as I mentioned before, it's really truly the utmost responsibility of a municipality. We want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our community every step of the way. And then asset and facility management. We've talked about our streets and our facilities. If we let those deteriorate, it costs us more. These are critical assets to our community for commerce, for governing, for providing the critical services. So we need to make sure we're maintaining those to the best of our ability. They do not deteriorate, and it's also a vision, an impression from the community. When you maintain your assets, people see that in your community and tend to support and trust how you're providing your service. So this is the preliminary budget as we move through. So this will be better informed as we move through this presentation with some of the staff requests, but I wanted to touch bases on this first. So over in the green 2025 budget, that's the adopted 2025 budget. $15.9 million in revenue was budgeted, just over $17 million in expenditures. That net revenue less expenditures is the in-fund balance, unreserved in-fund balance that was budgeted this year to balance that general fund budget. So $1.1 million was budgeted out of the unreserved in-fund balance to budget our general fund. That comes from this beginning fund balance, as you see here, the 6.4 million leaves an in-fund balance of 5.3. I'll round numbers if you don't mind, instead of go through them all, which is 31.3% of the expenditures for the 2025. We have a policy directive from the council that 20% of our expenditure budget of the current year is reserved as a reserve fund. That leaves $1.9 million unreserved fund balance, and you'll see the 5.3, their total fund balance matches the ending fund balance as you see up above. So that was 2025 adopted budget. Any questions there? Okay. Next to it in green as well as the 2025 estimated actual. This is essentially as of the end of July, where you saw the financial status report last week. Revenues at 16.5 million, expenditures at 16.7 for a variance of 154,000. Beginning fund balance was the same, right, going into the year, but less that nearly $1 million, you have 6.3 million, 37.8% in reserves. There's your 20% at $3.3 million, leaves an unreserved fund balance of $2.9 million. This is, I don't know if I say monumental, but a great effort by our staff. This is not done lightly. This is on the backs of services we're providing our community and our staff. And when I talk about retention and recruitment, this is exactly what I'm talking about. We have people working long hours and doing multiple jobs at once. And that creates the savings. But again, I worry about sustainability. Okay. So what we did in the purple, that's the 2026 proposed budget. So what we did is in the revenue line, we proposed an estimated a revenue based on the information we have available to us. And why it differs so much is one-time costs. One-time costs you can't really predict. There might be a grant fund like the $100,000 TMDHO grant for DCR services. There could be some permitting costs. There's some great grants that we received from our community credit union for PD. And it really is, as Terry mentioned last week, it really, you can't pinpoint it in one area where those revenues increased. It was a little bit, if you will, across the board. So what we do know is sales tax, property tax, B&O tax are pretty darn consistent over the years. They don't change a whole lot. So expenditures, we took the baseline budget from 2025, removed any one-time expenditures for 2025, and then added a few things like increase in public defense contract. Our public defender's contract is expiring at the end of this year. We've been talking about a contract and an inflationary increase for that service. Some known increases in MACECOM's contract, vehicle leases that were purchased through Enterprise this year and adding those in next year. We know those are costs ongoing. We made that commitment. So we have 5 police cars we're paying leases on. Oh, and then any employee costs, sorry. So any COLAs, cost of living increases, step increases, and benefits, medical benefits that we know that we're going to incur were carried over. I cover everything? Okay.
I have a quick question.
Please.
Out of the 1.13 million that are shortfall, and now it's 154, how much of that is unfilled positions that we purposely didn't fill?
I don't know if we quantified that, and I don't know about purposely filled. It might just be timing.
The cost
You
saving.
know, some cost, there's some, you didn't see a lot of that in July, frankly. We'll see more of that over the next couple. You'll see more of that in August and September, frankly, because we had some departures in June from the finance department. We had a departure in Public Works in April or May, is that right, Jay? But we backfilled that with an interim position to get some of that work done that's ending in October. So we'll realize some savings there. So it's intermittent, but
I was more worried about out of this, we got $154,000 left out of the 1.1 million. I was just going, is this because of positions that we haven't filled? Is this going to build back up over time? That makes sense.
It could, yeah. Let me get through this a little bit because there's some position reallocations or they're not included in the proposed budget. It's a good segue. So within the proposed budget in purple, that does not include fulfilling two open positions that are in the 2025 budget. So there's a patrol officer within that. And there's also an admin support position within the Public Works Department that are not included in that budget.
That is kind of where I was going.
Yep, thank you. Let's see. So drilling down, beginning fund balance of 6.3 million, right? 5.9 is the end fund, ending fund balance. You know, 6.3 minus the 330, 35%. 3.4 million is the reserve, 20%. 2.5 million is unreserved fund balance for a total of 5.9. So again, that's our starting point. That's where we are tonight, and then we'll work through some of the department requests, the council's goals and expectations moving into 2026 and refining our budget from that point. I'll go through these before we go through the requests. The yellow is 2026 department requests, one-time requests. So these are expenditures that would be incurred through that fiscal year, the 2026 fiscal year. I have kind of segregated these out, and I want to be clear. It's not necessarily it's not how us as a team have a consensus of these are priorities, because they're all priorities. You'll see there's not a whole lot of fluff, if you will, for lack of a better term. I'd like to use something more technical, but you'll see there's not a whole lot of fluff within these requests. But I felt like I had to develop these in different categories just to break it down for council review. So I put these as a priority 1, 2, and the ongoing requests are any expenses that might be staffing, vehicle leases and things like that we'll see beyond the 2026 fiscal year. So run one-time requests. I'm sorry, I didn't change that. 614. 599 is the actual number there. We add the 599 into the 330. I didn't change that number either. Use a 614 number. You'll see, I started tweaking the department requests.
Forward of the staff.
Exactly right. They're close, right? We're about $15,000 off. I think that was a reduction in actually the pros plan as we'll get to that one time. So if you take that number 945, 629, it adds the 330. That's the in fund balance use to balance the budget. As we drill down again, the ending fund balance 520, 5.2. We have 30%. 20% is 3.3, 1.9 unreserved fund balance, still healthy for 1 year, right? If you dedicate $900,000 to that, you have essentially 3 years, or less. The priority 2s, 325. So this is the aggregate, right? Across the board here. 1.271. So it's the baseline budget in the purple, the one-time priority 1 request in the yellow, and then the one-time priority 2 request in the orange for the $1.2 million in offset from the reserve. Again, 3.4 is your 20% reserve, 1.5 is your unreserved fund balance. And then we'll go over to the ongoing requests. You add these in, 862, $2.1 million brings you down to your unreserved balance of 482. So it just gives you kind of a demonstration of what these one-time requests look like as we're considering these and the information that we received from council tonight. Good. All right, we'll get into the departmental requests now, and this might be small on the screen. And some of these have options, if you will, or there might be a grant that we have out, so I'll go over that a little bit. So we'll start the one-time, we'll go down through the one-time list. So there's server switch replacements within our IT department. We have a grant through actually the Department of Military that may cover that cost. We're still waiting for news on that grant. So that's a $50,000 cost incurred. And then our Windows server replacement at the same time. We applied for a grant that would cover both of those. Hopefully we see that at some point, but we put it in the budget to demonstrate the need in that priority one. And then there's a $10,000 line item addition to continue with our replacement of computer hardware for our departments. Moving on down, council strategic planning, that 2022 through 2025 strategic plan ages out. We'll have obviously the election coming up, a council seat at the beginning of the year. I think it's important that we get around the table and have a strategic planning exercise to develop that plan moving forward with our community. $20,000 increase in professional services and advertising within HR. So this would primarily fund ongoing training and professional development throughout the city. One thing we've seen in a recent survey with our staff is the desire to continue with professional development and training so people can progress through their careers, but also add value to our community and our organization, right? If we have people that have higher levels of training and expertise, we can rely upon them to perform a higher level of service. Within the court, there's small tools. Oh, excuse me. Court, small tools and equipment. They have office equipment needs with the implementation of a paperless court system. We have a JAVS warranty, our system that we're using tonight, including the TV, microphones and cameras. That's a warranty system that has proven its worth with as much work as we have them to do out here. We have increased travel and training for not only the judge, but also clerk staff within the court office. Down at PD, we have flock cameras and the lease for those at $36,000. A taser, essentially a payment program. We purchased tasers throughout the department this year. We run a 5-year payment program. We're happy to have that interest-free. But instead of incurring that one time, we've spread that cost out over 5 years. So that's the 2026 allocation. There's $73.95 for training for Criminal Justice Training Center for a new officer that's coming on by the end of this year. Uniform and vests, that is partially supported through grants, but it doesn't support that 100%. So those are on a regularly scheduled replacement. I've got $50,000 in here at MACECOM as the placeholder. Again, we put $100,000 in the proposed budget. There's a bunch of work still going on with the MACECOM board. There's a lot of needs for technology upgrades, space upgrades. And so we're waiting for some more information coming from them. So again, kind of placeholders right now. We'll continue to refine that and be able to provide you more information as we move forward. Street allocation. One thing I didn't mention is the baseline budget, general fund budget, did not have an allocation to the street fund as it does this year. We had a $400,000 allocation from the general fund to the street fund in 2025. We removed that for the purpose of having that discussion about service levels. In these department requests, there's a $200,000 allocation from the general fund to the street fund. That still leaves another $200,000 that could be offset potentially by REIT or, again, real estate excise tax. Apologize for using the acronym, or through an additional general fund allocation. If the council so chooses in reducing that level of service, it could remain at that $200,000 again, up for further discussion. a addition of a seasonal employee, a 5-month position that would address litter, weeds, general cleanup and things like that within our streets and downtown area specifically. Again, a $20,000, if you look down here, $20,000 seasonal employee to address litter, weeds, landscaping around our city buildings. We realize that we're just not keeping up with some of that work, and we could certainly focus on that, particularly the growing season. $50,000 in professional services engineering. This is specifically for contract plan review, civil review for the developments that are coming down the pike. So we have some peer review through contract services to make sure the civil plans are meeting our code and meeting standards. We have one PE, 1.4 PEs within the Public Works Department right now. But also the PE is the department director and doesn't have the time dedicated to reviewing these plans at all times. So we utilize an outside firm to do some of that work for us and support us.
That's being offset by permit fees, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Further down, Parks Department requests a $7,500 structural analysis of our skate park. It's been there for a number of years. It's a wood structure. We are seeing failures within those structures and a number of repairs. And we want to see if it's really viable structurally anymore, whether that facility is going to be maintained. We can repair it. We can reduce, the apparatus and focus on, a few of them rather than the 6 structures that are there. Really what develop a plan moving forward. Replacement of a 27-year-old tractor at $30,000, and then there's that post plan, update the parks, recreational space and trails plan. Questions about that priority 1 line?
I want
Please.
to, MaceCom was previously here, correct?
They are still located in our building. At this point, the plan is they'll be here through the end of this year and most likely much of next year. They've got like I said, they've got a lot of technology upgrades and improvements at the building that they planned on moving into that is contingent upon all of the partner agencies helping fund that. So we need to come together as the partner agencies and determine what the priorities are, how MaceCom can continue providing the services they're providing, and frankly, enhance their services and address their infrastructure that is beyond life in many cases.
Did you, in the 26 budget proposal, did you take into account the proposed 85% MaceCom increases that were early proposed and now kind of going backwards and gonna build back up?
Yeah, you'll see a $200,000 MaceCom in the ongoing line. So again, we put $100,000 as a placeholder in the 26. I've got 50 in here, so it's a little bit redundant, but not knowing where we're at. The original proposal, or one of the proposals, if they were fully funded this year and they implemented a lot of the replacement costs that they need for their equipment, they have full staffing, they get their move in to their new facility. That was proposed to be a $200,000 increase to the city of Shelton in an ad cost.
Really, no way they can make that work here, because that just seems expensive.
They can only sit 3 dispatchers. So if one dispatcher's training, the 4th dispatcher, they don't even have a seat at the table for them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's really tight. Now that they're doing their true needs assessments and understanding what those are, last year, I think they were operating at 6 or 8 dispatchers, and I forget what their overtime costs were.
Yeah, $275,000, something like that.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're paying, yeah.
Okay.
So even though that they've gone back to there's some pushback and they've gone back to the drawing board, but now they're looking to pass on other fees to the city
Potentially.
or county and
Yeah,
all the providers.
they're re-examining the services they provide and is that MaceCom's true mission, right? Because Some of it is legacy from when it was Shellcom as well. And there was Shellcom, boy, I'm going back now. There was Shellcom and there was Firecom within the community, and Shellcom did law enforcement dispatch. Firecom did fire dispatch. They merged at some point. Then it became MaceCom housed here at the Civic Center. And so some of those legacy programs, because it was Shellcom, it was a city entity, they provided probably, more services maybe than what their mission was. Those were kind of legacy, and now as they review their capacity, they're saying, maybe these aren't the services that, are critical to our mission, and what is our mission, and how do we provide that?
So, since we're talking about MaceCom is for Mason County. Do they get funding from the county also? All right.
Yeah. All the law enforcement agencies and fire agencies pay into a fee for
Right.
calls for services, and then they receive the sales tax as well, and then there's some state 911 monies that fund them.
So are any of these priorities passed to the county, or is it just?
Oh, yeah, every agency,
Okay.
every partner agency I think the county was four.
There were four, yeah, they were double what they're,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And then also, going along with that, are there grants available for MaceCom?
He's looking into it.
Yeah,
So
they're
then-
looking for direct appropriations, any grants, any FEMA emergency management grants as well. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Thank you.
I think even maybe put that on our legislative priorities for the 35th
Yeah.
as well, to look at if there's any other money out there, because they need a lot of upgrades.
thank you.
Okay, I'll run through to this, Jay, is there anything else to add on one or? Come on, I can cover that.
Okay, well, I do have one more question on this sheet before we leave this one. This skate park structural analysis. What if we just don't have it?
So we could make that decision, that based with our staff and just say, the costs have exceeded the benefits. We just can't maintain it anymore, or it's gonna cost us X amount of money based on replacing the timbers, replacing the skate light surface. Yeah, we can determine that without structural analysis.
And maybe another entity wants to take that on. Not the city, obviously, but.
I've talked to the school, so it's a unique situation. It's on school district property. So there's a three-party ILA. It's on school district property. Mason County provides some funding because the city took it on for Mason County 10 or more years ago, 12 years ago, I think. And took it on the county agreed to provide some annual funding for maintenance. It doesn't cover the entire cost of that maintenance and repairs that are necessary. Perhaps I've talked to the school district, they would rather it not be at that location. I know Walmart has discussed that as well, because there's no parking associated with it, so individuals use Walmart's parking as well. We haven't had the opportunity to talk to the county about that specifically. It's on my agenda to talk to county administrator about that. I'm sure they would be pleased to forgive themselves of that responsibility of contributing to the maintenance and operation of that facility.
What about the tribes?
Taking ownership or operation or? Yeah, I mean, understanding the true cost of fixing it or keeping it functional is gonna be important. Anybody consider operation of that, so if we,
I would say the connection, but I don't know.
I don't know. Either that might be another grant for them.
yeah, again, it's critical to consider what the school district's intention is and whether they want it to be housed on their property. They have truancy issues that might occur there. There's use during the day, during school hours at the skate park that isn't associated with the school. It's an attractive nuisance, if you will, during those hours. So, you know,
Out of all these priorities here, I would probably put that. I would too.
okay. We'll go down the column with priority twos. Granicus is a is a software that's utilized for transparency of council meetings. It's an agenda development software. It embeds the agenda into a more digestible platform for the public and for the council's use. It also embeds the agenda items with the video, so you could link a resolution or ordinance specifically to the YouTube video and go right to that portion of the video. So if you're interested in, say, the budget hearing in November, you could click a link directly to that video portion, watch that portion. You don't have to watch something on I don't want to diminish anything else, so.
Is there any staff time savings with that?
You know, Jay's has familiarity with it in the city that you really have to get accustomed to it.
You have to get used to it. The good thing about it is you produce a document, it gets uploaded into the software, a council briefing, a PowerPoint, whatever resolution. And then the checking mechanisms are pretty good. It reminds you that you have something outstanding. You got to review it, whether it's my staff member, it goes to me. Then typically the finance department has to sign off on it, the city manager has to sign off on it. So the routing works very well. It allows us to be a lot more efficient in our approvals. And I think the quality of those documents will be much higher.
Do you think it would maybe minimize the records request a little bit? People can just go back and find.
Well, most of that is available already within our packets on our website. So if somebody seeks that public records request, we push them to that agenda packet.
But this would be.
Yeah, I mean, this could more specifically identify it, perhaps. I think quantifying how much time that reduces would be tough at this point, but. So it's a $30,000 total implementation the first year, and then an ongoing cost of $12,000. So you see the ongoing cost next to it. Rep is just an example. This is again a transparency tool, if you will. This is a firm that embeds your website with an AI feature, so you can type in any question and it would provide an answer based on the information from your website or any document files you may have. It's much more robust than just a how do I link within your website. It also has the opportunity to record short videos and embed those within your website, send those out to the media market, to whoever you want within your mailing list on any issues, topics, events that are happening in the city across many platforms. And you don't need somebody holding a camera or somebody, writing the script for you. There's a kind of a chat GPT element. You can write your script, it can edit for you, reduce it, saying same thing, but reducing it down so that the video is, if our target is 1.5 minutes, because that's people's attention span, we can focus it to 1.5 minutes, or whatever is determined. So
it's a 400 and ongoing of 12,000.
sorry, it's $1,200 a year.
Okay, 500.
Yep.
That makes
Yeah. Below that represents the quote we had from a state contractor to clean up the city properties out by the railroad trestle, Navy Railroad Trestle out there. We haven't had any, we've had some back and forth with representatives of the Navy, but no movement on accessing that property for the contractor, which would greatly reduce this cost. But that bid was $94,000. I put a placeholder of 100 in there in the 26 budget. Also consideration. There's 2 vehicles within community development, one for code enforcement vehicle. We're actually trading out, I don't know the year of the Durango, but it was I think a Lakewood PD hand-me-down a number of years ago to Shelton PD. And we're trading out another Tahoe from Shelton PD. Now it's being replaced with one of the new vehicles back to code enforcement. So it's kind of a hand-me-down, really a pickup is the most useful, vehicle for them, picking up garbage and shopping carts and things like that. And then a replacement vehicle to replace two other old police vehicles, about a 1993 or 4 green Durango, and an old police Charger as well, so. Down below 1383, in office and operating for the courts, community service specifically, trash bags, gloves, supplies to continue. The service of our, or the services provided through community service. Additional gas, to make sure their van is running, and then replacing that van that was, I think, a hand-me-down from Mason Transit a number of years ago. Does that sound right? Yeah. And then outfitting that with the necessary equipment so they can haul the equipment and supplies that they need within that van. 2 more patrol vehicles within the police department. So you'll see the one-time costs in the first year and then the ongoing cost next to that. As you see above the 12,880 for the van would be the ongoing cost next to that for community service. Online reporting, this is something PD has been working on for some time. This would be an online reporting platform for non-emergency issues throughout the city, and they would be assigned through, I believe, whatever allocation, email allocation, I think, to the appropriate staff. Yeah. For PD to follow up, could reduce, calls. Individuals can place whatever information they have within this online reporting platform as well, and then it could be followed up as staffing allows, and not necessarily dispatching somebody to that right away to take that report and create potentially some efficiencies. This would be an annual subscription. SWAT, replacing and outfitting a SWAT officer in PD. It's the 13,412. And then the next 4 projects are projects within our facilities department. So we have some siding improvements. It's a stucco material on the fire station. It needs some crack sealing. Really, it needs to be repaired and painted in its entirety. This is not sufficient to do the entire project. This is just kind of a fill the gap type thing and make sure there's no water intrusion. And looking it along a little further, you'll see REIT and a question mark. This could potentially be funded through real estate excise tax as its maintenance of a capital facility. Another HVAC unit at the library. Civic Center downspouts. For those of you that are here in heavy rains, we have a flat roof and we have scuppers that shoot it out the side. There's 2 on each side, and sometimes it looks like a fire hose coming out of there. It's pretty interesting. The downspouts are internal in the roof and they come down through the building and tie into the storm system. But if those fill up too fast, there's other drains up there that shoot out the side, like I said. So it'd be identifying the needs there. They may be too low, or they may just need to be tightlined and brought down the building and find an alternative to what it is now. We have cracking, and out here in the Civic Center floor, there's bubbling and cracking in the floor. There's something unstable in the concrete out there. So fixing that, replacing that. What we've seen in other areas is when it bubbles like this and cracks, when it gets walked on, it starts breaking away, and then you've got divots, holes, tripping hazards, heels or something like that, toes get stuck in it. So it's this close to doing some of that and failing to that point. So it's addressing at least the greatest needs there, not replacing the floor itself, but replacing the areas where we're seeing these greatest needs. And that's the priority 2 you'll see down at the bottom. The total of those is 325,960.
On the SWAT mark, that's because we're in this consortium with other counties other police departments for SWAT, is that what that's for?
Okay.
The SWAT allocation?
Okay.
That's because we do SWAT with other cities and counties.
We do SWAT mostly with the Mason County Sheriff's Department, and we recently, the second individual on our SWAT team had recently resigned, so that's why we're looking to potentially replace that position.
How much money do we make a year on property taxes?
No. Three. Sorry, where is it, Terry?
No, let me go through the
Okay,
July,
oh, got July right here.
so property tax free.
We budgeted just over 3 million. 3,050,179 was budgeted in 2025.
My concern for the highway free cleanup, that's a lot of money. I wanna know how we're gonna make sure that we don't have to spend 100,000 every year on the highway free cleanup.
Yeah, great question.
No answers? Okay,
I mean, you have to enforce.
Exactly.
You have to inspect and
Exactly.
enforce. The problem is you can't get a vehicle close to it. You're taking public works crews and police officers out of critical services out there and inspect that, cite people, move them along. Yep. If that resource is expended, we have to increase our service level in those areas.
How much did you say it was a day or for jail? Just curious.
Mason County Jail is 130.
130.
130. Yeah. Nisqually is 146. Sound right this year? Yeah.
Courts, jails.
Yeah.
I keep hearing we can't arrest our way out of this, but I'm seeing different numbers here. It sounds like we can get several arrests of people who are non-compliant, so I really do think that we need to enforce.
I guess I'd like some clarity there because that's an expense to the city. It's not a revenue stream.
We are spending too much money is what I'm saying.
I don't know if I think we've had 2 arrests for camping on public property.
Yeah, we've only had a handful of arrests for camping. Most people are complying with our request to move along, and we give them substantial amount of time to comply. So most individuals are complying with our request and moving along.
okay.
And we're currently working on individual camps within the city and pushing out towards Highway 3. So we do have a plan that's in place, and we're working with Public Works. Same time to communicate back and forth and trying to get ahead.
Okay, so if they're not allowed to sit there and accumulate garbage, we should not be going through this over and over again, correct?
That's the hope.
Okay, because I was gonna say it's over 700 days in jail for, that 100,000, so at the cost. Yeah, so I mean, enforcement is really required because we're going to spend money one way or another. So I think we need to enforce so that we make the message known that we are not going to encourage this type of behavior.
We don't wanna keep doing that.
No, we can't afford this. This is why we're gonna go in underneath.
Definitely not. We can make our request and plan them any better.
Yeah, it's not getting any better if we don't.
Also, I just want to say I am not sold on the online reporting or the RET. I think it's a public engagement platform. We have a Facebook, we have an app, it's a website, we can use that. And for the online reporting, I think I just need to hear more data on how much we expect to save on phone calls.
Yes, and we're still kind of monitoring the Mason County Sheriff's Department because they're currently doing online reporting and their numbers aren't exactly that great right now. So we're kind of trying to figure out where we would sit on that. And I just want to mention at this time, we're kind of at a pause with this program right now. We haven't any money invested that we requested last year, so we're still kind of looking at it, trying to figure it out.
Definitely here, might be further, what it looks like.
Yeah, and it's still such a new system, we're still kind of evaluating what they have received from the system, seeing if it would be beneficial.
So I'll go through some of the ongoing requests I haven't touched on already. There's the HR technician position. Here. Talked about the code enforcement vehicles, the van. Again, there's the ongoing costs for the 5 patrol vehicles. The 2 patrol vehicles that are over here in front of you too, and the ongoing costs. The flock cameras are included in that annual subscription as well. That's continued. There's the next, year or so or more of taser payments, lease payments, or I guess purchase payments. Annual subscription for the online reporting, a police lieutenant and patrol officer. So lieutenant would be an added position. The patrol officer would true up the patrol officer that is not in the 2026 baseline budget right now.
Would the lieutenant be patrol as well?
Yes,
Okay.
the patrol lieutenant would fall in right under the captain's position, so it'd be administrative position that would be supervising the patrol sergeants, the patrol aspect of the department. We have a few state mandates or new use of force reporting system through the state called WADEPS that he would be in charge of, amongst other administrative duties. And the bottom line for the patrol lieutenant position, there's 2. One is to alleviate the amount of administrative work between myself and the captain, which is difficult to keep up with, particularly the captain as he supervises, he's the overall supervisor of detectives, patrol, the records department, plus other administrative duties. So, and also this would aid in succession planning for the department, because we'd have that 3rd administrative level person within the agency that can start getting into those administrative practices and start learning how to, move forward.
I'm actually okay with the lieutenant patrol officer. I think we need more cops, not less. And definitely we need succession, because I know chief's wife has been bugging him for what? A year to retire?
Probably more like 5. But
Not long enough.
So I mean, I would be okay with those, as long as they're patrol, they can be on patrol.
yes, they would
As well,
absolutely
they're
be on
they're
patrol.
on the
That
streets and.
would be their primary function is to supervise patrol, their leadership. And
I mean, I know it's an
officers.
ongoing cost on a tight budget, especially if we're looking at 5 years out, but. We did way better than we projected this year, so maybe next year we'll do way better, and maybe next year we'll do way better, I mean. Yes, it's not a guarantee, and we do everything conservatively, so we're not in a position to where we have to lay people off, but. I think it's important that we, we continue with public safety as well, and make sure that we have a plan in place for the police department. It's like I said, more is better, so.
Well, I'm definitely okay with that, but I would like to get to the point where we're more proactive with the officers instead of reactive.
So with this being said, instead of waiting for the call. That's kind of my line.
So more proactive police
Right.
activity, yes, and that's sometimes become fairly difficult with our current staffing
And now
levels.
I-
I mean, at a period of time right now, we have 2 to 3 people either on vacation, on leave of some sort, or injured, so that really affects how many people we filled out
Right.
there at one time, and right now it's coming close to mostly we have 2 officers out right now.
And I understand that. So if we added that,
Yes, correct.
that would give us a little more cushion. So, and that's what I would hope.
And that also would help if we do want to arrest more, which I'm not sure that's the
Arrest
policy.
is not the word I'm going for.
Well, if we do want we use the squall, we don't want to take, when we have 2 officers on the street, we don't want to take 1 off. So it'd be nice to have that 3rd one around.
Yeah, and generally, if that situation happens, we gotta call someone on the overtime, and make it go ahead. Do that transport. So.
Well, let's be honest, when people know they're being watched, they're less likely for it. So if you're in there, you're in the area where activity usually happens. They're not gonna do it right there in front of you, or they're much less likely to. That's just where I'm at with the. All right,
I guess, to my point, I wouldn't have a problem spending an extra $225,000 on police officers. It's what we hear all the time, that we need more public safety, right? But, and we do have the public safety sales tax that's available to us, that's a 0.1% that would pay for that. But as we're looking at our budget right now, you know, $330,000 before we consider the street fund transfer of 400,000 we do every year, and in our proposal here, we've already cut it down to 200,000, so we're going to have lower services there. And a ton of ongoing stuff with vehicles that we're also going to be considering. Like, I support it, but we gotta fund it. That's my concern. We're allowed to do that councilmatically. We can do that all at once. We can have more police on the streets. We just have to pay for it as community.
I'll finish up with the last staffing, the 86,349. So this is the admin support position within Public Works. You'll see the notes about project coordinator and potentially utility funded. So this is within our engineering administration services. That's a general fund department that's supported through utilities in our indirect cost model. And I'm not going to go into direct cost model tonight. Terry can, but but essentially it's how other services within the city pay for general fund services. That goes IT, custodial, storage space, your time, council member time. So the number of agenda items that a department might have is allocated out based on a percentage of the total agenda items through the year. And then that's allocated out based on the cost of council. So the admin support / project coordinator position, however that is looked at is critical to, again, that admin support. They're writing some briefings, they're putting together some documentations to follow through on grants, purchasing. They're coordinating public events for transparency, right? Everybody likes to touch a truck and Public Works Weeks stuff like that. And it's some of the functions that position provides. Obviously, going into the project coordinator position is much more than an admin support, but these are services that aren't being provided within Public Works right now, with the departure of a staff person and that not being filled in the 26 baseline budget. Happy to, Jay, any other comments on that?
Yeah, a couple other things, just emergency management. I had them real part-time on that, keeping that program going with the county. That was real important, going to their monthly meetings up there, that sort of thing. And reaching out to the public, you know, was a small amount of their time, but it made a really big difference. Those PowerPoint presentations that I show a lot of, I was having them create a lot of those also. So a lot of that's falling on me and Aaron and Brent and other staff members. And, you know, after a certain point in time, it's, you know, I need to get into administrative duties and not being assembling PowerPoints. So it's an important position. A potential there is to move that position over to be utility funded and out of the general fund. That position would be out of there for, you know, an extended period of time. The indirect cost model is every 2 years, so they go back. So for 2025, it's cost from 2023 of the admin assistant that was here in 2023. So it's always you're always looking a little backwards in that model of what are you funding when, sort of thing. So
Our intent is to address that in 2026 as well and engage a firm that can review our cost model, propose potentially a different cost model that is best practices, that meets the state auditor's office requirements, because you really can't, frankly, you just can't make up your own, right? The state auditor has requirements that we need to meet. This is our existing cost model is approved to the auditor's office. And in order to review that, come back around and see if maybe there's a best practice to true that up a little bit, get away from the 2 year, really look at how the other funds support general fund services, and maybe there's some direct there's some opportunity for direct charges to some utilities that are essentially paying for that now. It's a comprehensive look at it, right? To see how it affects the entirety of our operation.
Some of the costs of that position too, because we want to move forward, the project coordinator, Aaron Nitz, last council meeting, he gave a lot of presentations, right? Assisting him with those, facilities parts, the assistant director. So that would be very, very helpful to have that person. And the project funds would pay for a piece of that person also. And then be backed by the water, sewer and storm funds also. Would probably be the best way. So the position would exit from the general fund budget and it'd show up in the budgets.
I wanted to segue into some of the property tax and sales tax discussions, because I think it's important to navigate that, so you have the whole picture as we're seeing residential development occur in our city. The discussion is how that's going to affect our general fund, right? We already heard a question about property tax collection as budgeted this year. So we'll just take Olympic Heights, for example. I've got a quick little narrative here. That's 199 houses behind Olympic College. They're moving dirt now. They're putting in stormwater improvements. They've brought a water pressure line from essentially the YMCA up to that area. We believe, there's certainty, they're moving forward, right? Bottom could fall out of it at some point, like we saw with Shelton Springs, but we think there's some certainty there. New construction needs to be finalized by the county, by us, and on the county assessor's rolls by July 31st of the existing year in order to be assessed the following January 1. So there's a gap in there. If they start their construction this late spring, summer, those won't be on the rolls in 2027. We're looking at 2028. For example, Meadows Edge subdivision, it's 32 houses on Basil that were completed earlier this year. There's a house that the property sold, I think probably pre-construction, because it was March of this year. It wasn't final till later in the year. That house right now is paying $39.55 in 2025 property taxes. It's a $442,000 valued house, I think. That equivalent is about $800 a year in what that equivalent house would pay if they were already on the roll. So there's not that, we really have to time that revenue as it comes in. You take those 200 houses, if they started today, or excuse me, if they were finished today at about that $800 a year, right? It took $440,000 valuation just as a general number. I'd round it up to 200 for round numbers again. That's $160,000 that would be collected for the city's general fund and property taxes off those new houses. So just for context, when we're talking about our baseline budget, as proposed with the one-time cost removed and being $330,000 in a deficit, that's how those new houses would affect that. We talk about sales tax a lot and what the implications are, and really there's no metric that says what a typical house does in taxable goods and services within a jurisdiction. So I threw a number at it. I don't know if it's accurate or not, but I threw $1,000 number at a household taxable, if the purchase of taxable goods and services in the city over 1 month, if they spend $1,000. Now, we don't have a lot of high dollar discretionary fund purchases within the city, right? No car lots, no boat lots, no RVs, things like that. Fairly reasonable. The City of Shelton sales tax collected is 0.008%. So that's what the city receives in both general allocation and public safety sales tax. That is calculated out, right? About 100 at times 12 months, right? 8.42, $8.42 a month, 101.04 a year. At 200 houses is just over $20,000. Just some more context. Yeah. all the more reason that I believe that, a strategic, conservative, process moving forward with our budget is really important, because if you bank expenditures on these revenues, we're not assured when they're gonna come in, but it really, I mean, if we talk about those two police positions, these two revenue streams don't pay for that. Ad valorem or property tax, the annual increase is limited to 1% of market value. If that 1% was allocated this year, our budgeted property tax is $3,050,000. 179, the 1% is 30,500. Questions about those? Dive into the revenue possibilities, as Councilman Gilmore mentioned. There are House Bill 2015 approved 2 possibilities for public safety. One is a public safety grant. That is a grant that will support not only police, but co-responders and programs like that. Again, it's a grant. The issue with that is it pays 75% of an employee's salary up to $125,000. You have to make a commitment to maintain that employee over 3 years past the grant.
And you just mean the slot, the employee itself could.
Well, the employee could move. Yep, the FTE, sorry.
That's what I
Yep,
meant.
got it. Yep. Under 2015, the public safety sales tax, 1/10 of 1% allocation was also approved through the legislature. This is councilmatic. Again, 1/10 of 1% pays for essentially the same types of services that the grant could pay for. This is a continuum of public safety services. It could be through municipal court, it could be police officers, could be co-responder programs, mental health professionals, and things like that. And then the transportation benefit district sales tax, there is a councilmatic 1/10 of 1% as well that is available for RCW that could be added to revenue stream to pay for transportation, making some improvements in the city.
Which would then probably eliminate the transfer from the general fund to the road department of $400,000. It'd be $300,000. 1/10 of 1%. About that.
175.
That would be up to council's direction. Which is where I'm at, council direction. Talked about level of service and public safety has been a theme from a couple council members tonight. Not a majority, obviously being able to add positions within a budget that is budgeting at a deficit is a concern with sustainability. I think that there's a discussion then about how you fund streets, how you fund animal shelter services, other things like that within our general fund. There's the unreserved fund balance use, obviously, you saw those numbers. I can go back to that spreadsheet and show you what the unreserved fund balance numbers will be based on those one-time ongoing costs, and so you can see the balance there. And truly, how you allocate that, what's the long-term sustainability if you're using that unreserved fund balance? Again, I'll reiterate, staff have busted their butt this year, frankly, to drive that down. I'm concerned there's a limit to that. And turnover is expensive. Officers are receiving signing bonuses in other communities. It's something that we just have to consider. It has to be on the forefront. Me as the city manager, I have to maintain that staff. I have to make sure we have the tools necessary to do their job. It's something I consider every end of the day. So I just want to convey that to council. I want to be a dead horse here, obviously, but it consumes my day. So we're open to further discussion, direction, questions. What the council wants to do.
Mark, I've always been in favor of stable services and more density. And that also goes along with looking at all the tools we have, look at increasing our revenue. So I'm done cutting. We cut so much in 23. we need to start growing again, start thinking about growing and stop being defensive. I think we need to start investing in our community more. I'm all for stable services, more density, and looking at different revenue funds, revenue streams, bringing towards it. So, I would like to go all the level of service, all the level of services and ongoing. And I think we need to stop cutting things, especially things that are important to our town, like the Historical Society and the library, and all the little things that we make this town special and unique about being Shelton. I'm in support of all the hard work that our employees are doing. We need to retain them. We need to make sure that we have a long-term plan. And, 51% of our budget is salary and most of that salary is PD. And I don't think there's any appetite to decrease our levels of service in our human infrastructure and investing in our people, at least on my end. So, we can debate over 5,000 here, 7,000 there, 13,000 there, but I think that we should start taking care of our people, investing in our city, and realizing that Shelton employees in the city of Shelton are the major industry in this town. We have a $16 million budget. We spend most of that money here in town. So, I have no appetite of cutting anymore, and I think we should be being aggressively looking to invest in our town.
I think that we should apply for the public safety grant for sure. If it comes to the public safety sales tax, I really think we should have either a public hearing or even a town hall where we can actually talk to our constituents and see how they feel about that. Cause I mean, taxes have increased at a state level. I mean, at a historic high, and people are really, really pressed right now. So I don't know how quick I am to jump on increasing any taxes, but I definitely think we qualify for the public safety grant and we should look into that for sure.
I definitely agree with the public safety grant, and you've heard me beat the drum so many times. It's about safety. We can't grow if community members don't feel safe. So I'm not against the public safety sales tax. I would like safety to be a priority and show that, but I do want it to be, I don't want the community to feel blindsided. I want them to know what we're doing, why we're doing it, so that they can see it. And I do agree with, Lindsay over here. So, I'm not against it, but I think that we need to be very focused on that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't disagree with anything said there. Obviously, we don't want to just throw taxes at people and say, hey, this is what we need. I'm perfectly open to, I mean, we'd have to do a public hearing. Or a town hall would be fine, or even sending it to the voters. We're allowed to do that and ask them. It can be just that simple, like, if we want more cops, we might need to pay for it. And let's see where those values lie. We hear it all the time. And we're just going to be in a huge budget deficit if we just look at all our priorities and say, hey, let's pay for all. We don't have the money, so we got to balance that.
I would just mimic what Lindsay and Sharon have already said also, for the public safety grant, and maybe I guess further discussion on the sales tax.
Definitely for going after the public safety grant.
Public safety sales tax is not, as opposed to, it's not a property tax, it's a sales tax. So if you're buying things in our communities, that's not just going to, again, not going on our residents, it's going on the TBD fund. And the TBD, I don't know, we need to keep that. So we just got that voted in by our people not so long ago. So do we want to stick them again this quick? Definitely need to have a conversation about that. As far as the public hearings, absolutely. I know a lot of people want to weigh in because it's a tax. But again, like we've said, it's a public safety tax, and I think a lot of us agree that we like safer streets and those things. So, yeah.
So Mark, maybe we can have a study session on the public safety sales tax and the Central Bedford District sales tax, and maybe even the grant, just one study session. And
Yeah, we need to refine those grant requirements and bring you the breadth of that application and, right, and the particulars, obviously this is a high level snapshot of that, so, better understanding that, right? And grants aren't, right? Grants aren't guaranteed as well, so we certainly wouldn't want to make any decisions before, obviously, a grant is potentially awarded.
Sounds like you have a little bit of consensus to talk about it further. All three of the options.
Yeah, those three options. Yeah, I guess I'm interested in hearing more about street operations. And some of the, my concern frankly is we had great support from the public, right? 73% voter approval of that transportation benefit district. It's obviously a priority of our community, being able to sustain the services that they've seen through the nine years, I guess, of it being in place is important to that. And they showed that overwhelming support. So we couple potentially a couple police officers with or without a grant. I guess I only heard one. Yeah. And then the full contribution of the general fund to the street fund for 200 and 200 at a REIT. I guess we did consider that. The REIT fund balance is projected to be sorry, Terry.
It's only gonna be 4.
With this one, right? Yeah, with the 20. So it's 600,000 or so at the end of this year. $200,000 of REIT contribute to the street fund next year with $200,000 general fund. Obviously helps the general fund, but it might not be sustainable. We've collected close to 220 at a REIT. Is what we budgeted. But we're also dedicating that to other projects, specifically facilities. We budgeted 300,000 to the safe security police fencing project this year out of REIT, just for example.
If we could get if people were interested in TBD increase, that could also cover like the seasonal employees who would do weeds and litter downtown. Like we heard about that last week. It's a really legitimate concern getting out there, making the streets look more appealing, getting more people in your shop, which also starts to pay more money into our street funds and other funds. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, I broke out. Let me share this. I just took that one-time request sheet and highlighted. Real simple. I apologize for the rudimentary work here, but the blue would represent public safety sales tax eligible projects or expenditures throughout municipal court as well as police. The yellow is what, at least in the one-time requests right now, the TBD increase could offset. If you add these up, and again, it's rudimentary because there's some duplication here with ongoing services and the one time, but just for a snapshot again, 220 total at TBD, 1,085,000 are the expenditures within the blue. But again, there's some duplications there, right? You see the ongoing costs with the tasers. I just kind of wanted to have more of a visual, if you will, with the color coding to show you how those two funding sources could support some of these requests.
I think that's great to show where the money.
Yeah, I think that's the transparency our public desires and deserves. Yeah. One thing I didn't touch on, back to the financial sustainability task force, is another one. I'm beating the drum here, but we reduced about 7 FTEs in 2023 in that budget correction. About 3 FTEs remain open at this time. We eliminated 2 director positions at that time, an HR analyst, an account assistant. Those remain we cut a customer service rep and a custodian as well. The custodian and customer service rep were funded back in 25 because we just saw a decreasing level of service both internally and externally. So those reductions remain. As well, so trying to be diligent. I'm just trying to express, that we have reduced FTEs, which is a majority, as Councilman Guerrero says, of our expenditures. We're doing the best we can to maintain those over time, and that's where these discussions lead to, is really where that service level is most appropriately allocated by council. We've also most recently this year combined the clerk and communications position. So Mary's taking on double duties from what it was before. So there's a bit of a savings that we can be allocation of some of those duties within the clerk's office as well.
So what it sounds like is some of these people are basically doing a full-time job of two different people.
We've been successful getting grants too and direct appropriations from our delegation. It's great. It adds quite a bit of work. We'll see the reclaimed water tank out at the satellite plant go out to bid, I think the end of October. So that's a nearly $4 million project, I believe. Yeah. And so we'll see that, but it takes some staff to work those through the procurement process, the funding agencies, working with the state and other, if you're talking about federal funding agencies, it takes quite a bit of time to work that through. I think they got notice to proceed, or they were getting notice to proceed very soon. So we should be seeing dirt turned over there. And then we've got the UPS replacement, which the council considered. We've got Olympic Highway North redesign underway. We've got the Crosstown Trail project design kicking off. We've got the vents and lids on our reservoirs. We just got approval to move forward with the railroad track crossing removals across the streets. That's a federal funded program. Again, just a lot of work moving into those. So we've got staff hustling to get these improvements in the ground here in the city.
And then I'm not sure the work is to get a grant. You don't just ask for it, you need somebody to do the work to get that money. So basically, all in all, it takes money to make money in the way there.
A lot of grants require that match, right? But yes, you're right. You're expending resources just to apply for the grant without any assurance that you're going to receive that.
And that person's not doing something else, they're applying for grants. So.
I just want to have gratitude for our staff. We're doing more with less, especially Public Works Jay, increasing our pavement condition index from 68 to 72 over the past few years. And we're continuing to do that, not just on the Gateway Project or our railroad, but uptown on Olympic Highway. So we need to keep that momentum going, keep our infrastructure strong so we can continue to do business. And that's the basis of how we do business here in our town, is making sure that we have clear roads so we can conduct our business on the roads. Have everyone transfer all our goods and services through here. And I'd just like to pat ourselves on the back for doing a good job, and for the chief for keeping our staffing levels as high as they are, and closing down those areas when we didn't have coverage before. So we're doing so much with so little. So thank you so much. And I hope that we as a council can provide more of that in the future and make sure that we keep our city employees motivated and well positioned to be part of the community, stay in the community, spend money in the community, and make sure that we have more than just a minimum wage, but a living wage for all our employees. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Are you looking for a hard?
I think what would benefit staff at this point is further discussion on the unreserved fund balance expenditure. I think we've heard that public safety remains a priority. So if that's going to be where we focus our preliminary budget on, that's gonna dictate how. And then with more information on unreserved fund balance and that expenditure and the council's comfort level, that'll dictate how we prioritize some of these other expenditures to bring back to you in a preliminary budget and further discussion. If it's expending, all, 2.9 million of it, next year, that's a different discussion about ongoing costs. If it's keeping it down to, $500,000 range, we've got a lot of work to do with these one-time requests and a lot of work within our departments for them to prioritize the services they're providing.
Where I'd be comfortable is we start out the year at $1.13 million in short out of unreserved balance. I'd be willing to start out 26 the same way, and then we just work through this list and figure out what's important. Priority 1 and priority 2, and then that leaves us 2 million, well, it was $1.5 million. For 27.
Yeah, you'll
The
see,
beginning fund balance, and that's if it doesn't grow because we actually do a little bit better in 26 than we proposed.
well, yeah, I think you can look at 26 today, and if you just look at this 945, it leaves you 1.9, you got a couple $100,000, it leaves you about 1.7 unreserved at the end of that day, regardless of where the expenditures are. Now, if there's ongoing expenditures, we certainly will bring those out moving forward, because the last thing we want to do is bring on a police officer, most likely an entry level or 2 entry levels. You're training them for 8 months and then having to correct your budget and make some tough decisions. I think that's where we don't want to go. We'd much rather be conservative, budget revenues potentially lower than what they're going to be, or conservative, budget our expenditures conservatively a little higher, and then we're not making negative corrections, we're potentially making positive corrections. We haven't got there yet this year, it's 154 in the hole still, but I'd much rather do that the second half of the year than come through and make cuts, particularly when you're talking about, and frankly, we know you're not cutting an officer if you've just hired them, they've been through criminal justice training center, right? After 8 months, that's not the investment that we want to make, that's not the community's expectation. So you're looking at other general fund expenditures where you'd make those corrections and make those cuts. And so being informed by this council to at least have a strategic plan moving forward would be a benefit to me and the staff.
Like I said, I'd be willing to start out where we started out in 25, work through this list a little bit better with staff. We want to do that tonight or another study session. But I mean, I believe that we'll do a little bit better again in 26. We're very careful. We have been for years. So I think that would increase it, and fund balance would increase, So I get it, ongoing cost. And I also want, staff, is there anything in here that's going to address some of the staffing issues we have?
We budget our cost of living
Yeah.
and our known step increases. We've just completed a non-rep compensation study. So there's a couple minimal adjustments in there, but we're not competing with the South Puget
I'm
Sound.
talking about more about morale and.
Yeah,
people
that's-
working too
Yeah.
hard, or 2 jobs or 3 jobs.
Well, that's more staff.
Yeah.
Frankly,
So-
the $20,000 that we had in HR for training and professional development, yeah, we want to address staff and their needs, their physical, emotional needs, right? And how they're performing here. They need to feel like they're being successful, absolutely. But at some level, it means that we're adding people to different departments besides police department to lessen that load, or we're reducing a service.
Can I address the line?
Please.
Because we're to bring you a balanced budget to you, a preliminary budget by November 4th. We have to have that noticed legally. We have to have these timelines legally
back to that.
in November. And so that means we basically in finance have to have this document to you within about, ready for you guys and for us to have it looked over with the rest of the directors and their team. We basically, it's almost October. We have about 2-3. In reality, to get all of this work done and present it to you, because we have to have it presented to the city clerk.
So you want one of us right now?
We need decisions.
Yeah, priorities.
Yeah, we can't keep pushing it off. I would love it for study sessions. If we were earlier in the summer
Got it.
is what we can do, next year, have these discussions.
All right. So we're doing that.
So I guess we start priority one. Does anybody want to go down the list and say what we're going to support or not? I mean, we got SWIFT replacement. Maybe. And that could be a grant. Okay, let's just want to skip those two because they could be a grant, you think?
They can be a grant. We can't avoid the 50,000. We're at the point of a critical failure if we don't replace those, and we're essentially we're down. The police computers are down. Everything else in the cities is down if we don't replace those.
So I assume we're all okay with the SWIFT replacement?
Yeah, we can replace and apply for the grant, make the money up.
And both of those, and then, what was the laptops? It's just aging hardware, is that?
Aging infrastructure on a regular, about a 5-year replacement. We were on 7-year replacement. We're trying to get closer to 5 years. Because we're seeing infrastructure, just age out and break down.
So super important this year.
I think it's a priority. Yeah,
So
Should we just budget for that on an ongoing basis?
we should.
Assume.
It should be an assumed cost. Yeah,
And how many years should we have that?
forever. This basically institutes a 5-year replacement schedule.
Okay,
And it's an ongoing, yeah, it probably should be in the ongoing cost.
so, so this should be every 5 years?
No, this is every year.
Every year.
And so you get a turnover of laptops and desktops every 5 years by allocating $10,000 every year.
So we need to move that into basically the.
council planning. I mean, you have to train council, correct?
Well, training's one thing, getting a strategic plan, so we have goals and a vision. So we're again, strategically planning, we're being proactive, we're not being reactive is, I think, really important. And particularly if we have some turnover of council, we have that strategic plan ending, it's important that we facilitate something that develops a plan moving forwards. Council can direct staff on where we want to direct our priorities.
Is that enough for a professional trainer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my goal would be to reduce it. But yeah, this would be something it's something that, somebody that's trained in this, has a skill level that I certainly don't. And I could participate at the same time instead of facilitating that to get the most out of that exercise.
I'm for a third-party facilitator can. So. That's the expense that I'm okay with.
I'm great. I think they have to do it.
I'd say cheaper, but
All right. HR professional service and advertising, in-house training programs, absolutely, I think necessity, keep our staff up to date on all the procedures and. Anybody agree? And then tools for the courts, tools, equipment, and professional travel and training. We asked,
My opinion, the $8,500 is a necessity. It's much like the software or hardware purchases. If we don't purchase the warranty on the JAVS equipment, we have the failure of not being able to conduct court. And then, right, that's a direct impact to public safety.
and travel and training, I assume because we have some transitions going on in the court here in the next year, probably why. Somebody's gonna take greener pastures.
plus this ongoing training, so I can keep my pencils.
Okay.
And if I can, on the 8500, that's actually ongoing every year. So without tabs, that's a system we're using right now. It's more
Right.
dedicated. It's also a system we use for running court, recording court, that's required by law. It's also the system that I think Mayor Nesco was the only one here when I asked for $80,000 to put it in. And it's also a system that keeps law enforcement having not bring people to jail physically to the courtroom, allows this quality contract to exist because we bring people like video from the jail. All that would go away without the jabs, this year.
I'm supportive of it. Yep.
Pretty instrumental.
You're an easy sell there.
With the
Correct.
training also, court administrators now have to have mandatory training that we didn't used to have before. So we've got 2 people now in the court that are going through that mandatory training. And so we have to do some of this training or we lose our certificate. So
Yeah, sounds like we have to just move that forward. Block cameras, that's a given, really. That's a new program, and so far I hear that we've arrested a few people for some serious crimes.
Yes, sir, we've had tremendous success with that program since we've had it up and going. Not to mention, just a week ago, we apprehended a child molester suspect out of a neighboring county. We had a child rapist that was coming in from Canada. We apprehended numerous persons in possession of stolen vehicles. We probably recovered, I'd say, somewhere in the vicinity of 10 stolen vehicles. That's not including stolen plates. And we've recovered as well. So it's and some investigations that we've had ongoing with burglaries of commercial businesses. It's also assisted with that. So it's a tremendous tool.
Feel like it's been a good investment so far. Yeah, I'd like to see how this continues to go.
Absolutely.
We got a lot of grants for that to begin with. Are we hopeful that we can continue that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a keeper anyway.
That was a wonderful grant from the credit union, correct?
Our community credit union, as well as there was the stolen vehicle.
We
Excuse
got
me.
the, yes, it was the out of Washington, all that we got a grant through as
Yeah.
well. So those were kind of one-time monies, or opportunities. I don't know when they'll come around.
We hope some of our community partners continue supporting this program as we show the results, and Chief and Captain are working on a presentation. We wanted to gather enough data throughout the lifetime of Flock so we could provide you a comprehensive report on how it's being utilized and affecting, crime in our community, and hopefully we can utilize that to engage some of the community partners as well that may be supporting.
That might be a great fit for a town hall.
Tasers.
That's been a commitment. Yeah, essentially.
Yeah, our tasers were sold. They probably we were carrying tasers that were upwards of 10 years old that we couldn't get repaired anymore. We couldn't get batteries where we can get cartridges for anymore. So this was, if we hadn't done this, we probably wouldn't have tasers anymore. We had to upgrade.
So you're just throwing them out.
Training's mandatory, right? So
I'm sorry.
training's mandatory,
For the CJTC, yes, that is, CJTC increased their costs slightly, but not too bad. But yeah, we're anticipating using that for our new hire that would start in November, and we start attending academy in December.
Which could compound if we had a new officers, right?
all right, uniform vests.
I wrote here that you said there's a partial grant for that, essentially.
Yes, every other year I apply for a grant through the Department of Justice. This one I applied for last year, it's good for 2 years. We got approximately $6,000. We have a rotation of vest. They need a new vest every 5 years, and that's also an accreditation. mandate as well. So typically a year with a new hire and the replacement schedule on, I'm replacing 3 to 5 vests a year, and they're running about 1,500 a piece. So, you know, if I'm replacing 5, but we did already close out what I have, $6,000. So yeah, that's why they asked for it.
So we're good with.
Let's put a question mark next to MACECOM. Obviously, that's gonna be further developed, and we already have some placeholder within the baseline budget now.
Possible grants
So
there.
there's a potential in reduction based on that. Either it's the 50 or even a reduction from the 100, that's the placeholder there.
For you.
Street allocation. So right now, the TBD is bringing in 700,000 a year. This be in addition to that, and then we got the REIT that could possibly go into this instead of general fund money.
We're contributing $400,000 of general fund money to
In the
street,
past.
this year.
Okay.
This year, that's what's allocated, exactly right. There is the potential to allocate REIT funds. It's legally available to utilize within the street because it's capital project maintenance. To offset 400, reduce the $400,000 allocation that we made this
I'd like to use the read, if we can do that.
And not add the 200 general fund. Which, where, yeah,
I'd like to allocate that
so
on the full amount.
400,000.
I'm in agreement with everything on this one and on this two,
Okay.
except for the SWAT.
Okay, Lindsay. Yeah. Well, 400,000 or 200,000.
I was gonna say the 200, but let me hear what the rest of the council says.
Jake can maybe talk about a little more about what a $200,000 reduction means within the street fund.
Yeah, so we'd have to probably lay out 2 employees, and then I did a list of what doesn't happen then. And we go completely to reactive mode at that point. And anyways, it gets pretty severe.
I don't think we want to lay anybody off. We let out enough people.
Our street fund has 4.6 FTEs, I believe.
Yeah.
Uh,
And it's the largest asset in the city.
Yeah, street is 4.65 FTEs, so that includes some administrative work. It's not everybody that's out on the cruise. When we allocate FTEs to a budget, it could be the supervisory staff, it could be administrative staff and people like that. So just because it's 4.65 allocated within the street fund, they're not always the guys out doing the work.
The suit guys out there every day. They're always working, they're always running. Whatever it is, they're always on it, so they definitely need that money.
I think we have to look into the TBD option, the extra 10%. The REIT option is a Band-Aid and it's a bad one. We make 220K on REIT a year, so we're just saying, well, we'll put all of our REIT into the street fund to free up $200,000 of our general fund. But we already have $75,000 in fees that we're trying to put on REIT for other places. It's our entire capital budget basically is REIT, and we're gonna say, well, it's all streets and our buildings are gonna collapse. It's a terrible choice. It's fine for a year while we try to find a stopgap, but it's not feasible. And we can't build ongoing costs off of that savings. Our buildings will collapse. It doesn't work. So yeah, sure. This year we can do that. We've got some extra money left there, but this is all of it. And we need to come up with an option, or else we're going to have to let our streets degrade. We're going to have to lay people off. We have to make that choice one way or the other. I don't want to lay people off. I want to, we had a hypothetical household that pays $1,000 a month in sales taxes. This is $12 a year for that hypothetical household. I want to be that hypothetical household. I want to pay the extra $12 a year for my streets. I don't speak for everybody. I am willing to listen to other people. I'm willing to put it on the ballot, but I think that's really where we have to be, because we can't put all of our real estate excise tax into the street bucket. Because it's bad for everything else.
You know, people say we need to run the city like a business, but our costs are way outstripping our ability to raise revenue. Because we're restricted to 1% and 0.1% all the time. We are paying 8.9% on our city taxes. 9.7% is what pump water charges. We are well within other Washington cities. We can go up a little bit and keep funding for everything that we want on both lists. If we think about our revenue streams, and it's not gonna cost us anything except one extra penny on a $6 cup of coffee. So.
Keep in mind that Tumwater has a lot of state workers and they make more money. We have low wage jobs here, so we have to.
Well, then let's have
Our
high
budget.
wage jobs here by investing in our people.
I think it's too soon to hit us with both at the same time. So for safety and for transportation, I think it's too much to do it all at once.
Kind of move that to a study session anyway, right?
Well, yeah, I think, I'd like to go back and get some reconciliation on the street fund allocation. From the general fund, from REIT, or a combination of the two.
I think we had, all of it.
So the $400,000 allocation as was this year, with splitting it between street fund and REIT.
I believe that's what we had.
For a one-year stopgap, it's okay, but we need to do other things in the future.
And we will definitely look at that.
So, and then going back to, I guess, Mayor, your comment about a study session regarding the grant, the public safety sales tax, public safety grant, and the TBD all at once?
Yes.
Have further discussion?
Just a study session. Talk
Yes.
about it.
If you're ready to do one sooner than the other.
We're gonna get through budget first, most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll work internally on what that looks like and provide options.
Seasonal employee. Dress litter, weeds, general debris, permit, $20,000.
It's a minor investment, the return that we get of the community.
All right, we had that twice.
Yeah.
One will be focused in, they're both general fund items, one will be focused on streets, one will be focused on facilities. If there's a priority there, it could be, you know, one or the other, it could potentially be split. You know, as the first year implementation, this would be, again, a 5-month allocation, 40-hour week employee. That is focusing on that general upkeep and cleanup that isn't the highly technical stuff our full-time staff do, but just increases during the season. We've had them in parks and other facility or other departments for a number of years, and whether it's mowing and weeding and playground maintenance and things like that really spike during the season.
I think it's a good investment in our community to keep things really well during the summer, especially during high use periods.
Professional services, that is offset by development fees, so I don't see a problem with that. Yeah. Okay, skate park structural analysis, well, we gotta figure out if it's safe or remove it, so. I mean, the money needs to be there, if we remove it, what's it gonna cost to remove it? Probably,
Yeah, they'll be disposed
so
of.
I.
Those are, the ILA with the county, excuse me for interrupting, the ILA with the county, indicates that they share in the cost of that removal and disposal when the time comes. We could play it safe and just make that determination with staff ourselves. I think there's the need to communicate with the public and the people that may use that. So they understand what that decision is, but we can certainly play it safe and not allocate those funds to analysis and have staff make that determination. That'll be on the side of caution, that, you know, that may read that apparatus slightly before it's time for a structural.
I think we definitely need to make sure the school is actually willing to just keep it. I mean, it sounds like they don't want it there anymore to begin with.
I mean, they're fine with this, is they don't wanna see it replaced, frankly.
Okay.
Yeah, they wouldn't agree to a new structure being there, and they certainly wouldn't agree to the structure anytime in the near future.
What I'm hearing is it's not helping the safety in our community, and that's kind of where I put my eggs in the basket. So if it's not helping safety in the community, it's actually going opposite direction. I'm definitely not for funding it anymore.
If you have any problems with skating at the skate park.
That's been a source of issues for many, many years, you know, so there's always a constant, issue with the bunch of kids there, there's fighting, drinking, you know, so it is kind of a bug light for problems.
I mean, if it's a problem, then we wanna keep it.
I definitely don't want to make more investment.
Kids and dads, I see it all the time, I go to Walmart, go about at least 3-4 times a week. During the day, I mean, I don't know if it's on there at night, if the police that running around then, but during the day, I generally see kids with their parents, so.
I mean, I would hate to remove something that kids are using, but
But it's
I mean,
safe.
well, I know, I was gonna finish my sentence there, that if we're having problems there and it's not safe over there for the kids, then maybe we should probably have a serious conversation about removing it.
I think it's responsible for us to find out if it is safe, then let the next person who's gonna take it on figure out, is it safe enough to keep, or what is the cost of repair? And, I think it's responsible on our side to fund this study of it.
Let's figure out if it's safe, and then we revisit this discussion there, I think it's probably the best way.
Okay. We'll do more exploratory work with our staff. We'll communicate with the school district and the county, see what the appetite is to maintain structure over whatever period of time that might be. I think we reached out to WCIA regarding a mitigation grant or some services for the structural analysis, but they said they didn't have a program of such, so. We'll see if we can get somebody to do a structural analysis on the cheap, or provide some guidance from it's not really a manufacturer anymore. They're made much differently than they were back then. Again, most of them are steel these days if they're above ground. This is a wood structure sitting on a slab, so it takes a beating, and it seemed so we can do a reasonable assessment and
Is
come up with
skating
some guidance.
still a cool thing? Do kids still get into skating? Or is that something from the nineties that we're all carrying with us? I don't know. I'm a 55-year-old man who drives a wagon, so anyway.
I will say it hasn't been a high priority within our pros plans the last couple of times, but also we've had the facility there. So typically you'll see the public input and the survey input to address facilities that you want to see expand or added to your community, and it's already there.
I don't feel like we have a whole lot of stuff for teenagers to do. And they're the type, teenagers are generally your primary demographic for skate parks, so it would be kind of unfortunate to get down. I mean, I'm not gonna die on a hill, it's money, but it would be unfortunate to not have.
Yeah. I wish they would
that
do
facility.
disc golf instead, because
It's true,
it
we
would
do have
decrease
that,
the amount of
yeah.
injuries as well. You know, dealing with sprained whatever or twisted ankles, but I mean, I don't know what kids' level of risk are and what parents' levels of risk are with their kids.
It's interesting, back managing skate park for years, and our insurance provider said there was a lot fewer claims with skate parks than there were with like stick and ball sports. Just because it was accepted, it was kind of almost a badge of honor at times. If you wiped out and broke a wrist, you were doing something cool.
Get a strawberry.
And yeah, you accepted that, and so there were less claims kind of on the insurance side, because that's something, we looked at when the city was taking over the skate park. It's okay, what's the city's liability with taking this on, and or at least at that point, and I believe that's been maintained, that WCA sees less of that. Now, if you've got an unsafe structure, right, you've got the skate light shifting and there's a lip somebody catches, or there's a hole in it or a rail missing or something, that's where that's where your claims, certainly will come into fruition.
So I'm just gonna reiterate that I think it's a good idea to study it and then find out what we're leaving to someone else if we decide to keep it or not keep it.
I move that we extend the meeting 30 minutes to 8:30.
Second,
Motion is second, to extend the meeting till 8:30. On fair side. Aye. Opposed. Motion carries. Done. Wow. Okay, so did we?
Okay, I think I've got
Got
some
You got me.
forward, and then the tractor and pros plan update, those are funded through SMPD, right, and funding source, that'll be a separate budget you get to consider at the same timeline as the city budget, those will be considered within the operating costs and the revenue available, through the MPD.
So we're okay to move on to priority 2?
Yeah.
Right. So 30,000 for a council agenda packet and video management program. Can that wait, Mark? Can that wait?
Yep.
That can wait.
Absolutely.
It's wait.
You gotta start saying no somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So-
Thank you.
Right there.
Sorry.
That's fine.
Terry's going, yeah, say no.
I'm ready.
And a public engagement platform. So what was that again?
That was the rep, is basically an AI embedded opportunity within your website that would answer any questions by gleaning the information from the entire website or any documents you embed in that. So you could ask a question and receive an answer based on the information within your website. And then there's a video component too, where you can put short videos about whatever particular topic of the day. Distribute those to the community or mail list as well. So again, not a critical function. It's a transparency platform, just adding the ability to communicate with our public in a transparent way and more robust than, system than what we have in place now.
Bill's okay with it, Lindsay?
I think we should wait on that one and do that later when we funded.
No, no, all right. So it's off the table. Okay, Highway 3 cleanup. I mean, it has to be cleaned up, but my goodness.
I think I'd like to see us think a little bit more effort first to try to connect the Navy. Instead of certified letters or something. I mean, it's kind of, spitting in the wind, but before we put out 100,000.
Oh,
See if we can,
sure.
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we need to fully vet their
Yeah.
participation and access on their property, right?
Absolutely.
Before there's any decision made on the expenditure, yeah.
Okay, are we,
Is it worth putting a placeholder there?
It is for me.
Okay,
yeah, it needs to be cleaned up.
okay.
Vehicle leases for code enforcement and, both for code enforcement, correct?
We'll put those on hold until, and we'll shift through some other vehicles and put those on hold for the time being.
Right,
The public
so,
works budget has a couple vehicle replacements and some of the vehicles are 2008, that we're replacing 2012, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That have some life in them. They're better than the ones we're replacing this year, that's for sure. I mean, we're towing a bunch of those out of here,
Yeah.
so, yeah. But I mean, that's potential there for
Yeah.
another year.
Yeah, it's the best of the worst, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct.
we'll continue
And
shuffling.
there's
vehicles
eight,
down.
right? It's-
so, office and operating expenses for the court, trash bags, I mean,
They're not asking for much.
they're not asking for much, and I've been out with them. They pick up a lot of garbage. We did last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, we picked up behind the fence on Olympic Highway North. We picked up like 13 bags of garbage behind that fence. So there was a lot of garbage back there.
Yeah,
And
I had requested a little more money there because the price went up on the
Yeah.
garbage bag.
I mean-
and they have to be a special heavy duty bag that nothing's gonna punch through it, so. pretty expensive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great service. It saves us a lot of money from staff going out there and picking up the garbage as well.
They're assisting public
And
works.
we're making people accountable for their crimes, they can go out there and do the work, so.
Mhm.
So that's,
If we don't ask them to clean up, we gotta send them to jail, don't we? So-
yep, yeah, they get a choice, I think, right? Where's the judge? Diane, the jail or cleanup, right?
Yeah, we remind them of that a lot, so if they complain about doing community service, well, have an alternative. Then they usually choose community.
Not only are we saving $140 a day, we're actually getting 8 hours labor out of them, right?
I don't know.
It's a full day. You told me last week it was a full
Yeah,
day.
it's a full day,
Oh,
yeah, well, she takes them out several times during the week, but one whole day. She has other jobs here, to do for the court, and she also does the fingerprinting for her maintenance reports.
All right, they need gas, so I imagine that's probably a given. And I'm not sure if we need a van this year or not. I would guess I would defer to staff if that is really important this year.
That's something that we can push for a year.
I mean, you could move it along.
Sure.
Is it that bad?
The community service van, Galen is very good about putting Band-Aids on it, so I think that was my big ask on the budget for next year. I would like to get a newer van, I think we could put that on. Not have it next year, but hopefully within the next couple of years.
Okay, yeah.
I think we should put that off as well, and also apply for maybe the transit also brings out their vans every year. Finding, I think a couple have gone to Youth Connect, and so I think we can apply for one of their vans that has probably half the miles on it and check on that. Tom can probably check on that for us. But yeah, I think that can probably wait maybe another year, see how things pan out.
Yeah, we, and how we're going.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Right. And corp logo rectification.
Well, I don't-
$360. I think,
That would be pointless, so.
oh, that's right. All right. Okay, patrol vehicle lease. Now, isn't this on the enterprise?
Mhm.
So why does it cost us 54,000? Just curious. I thought,
So you're paying the initial lease and then you're outfitting the vehicles as well.
oh,
Yep, the initial outfitting is. Excuse me, I don't remember what's the initial outfitting of
For each individual.
a patrol car, yeah,
Was. Wasn't 2,000?
yeah,
I was gonna
It's
say it's close
expensive.
to 20.
yeah. So you're talking about the cages, the light bars, the, all the,
Radios.
everything that outfits, yeah, radios.
Would the ongoing be lower than the 54,433?
Yes, would be.
and
Save money, right?
And maybe in another year or two, we have that $500,000 in the enterprise fund that it's just sitting there, just in case we get into a pinch, we have to
Yeah.
pull that money out.
We're exploring the payoff of those now. Jay has reached out to Enterprise and seeing if, if there's a benefit to pay off right now and what that looks like.
Yeah, we'll know more on that day.
Because if that saves us some money, we may come back to council and just say, let's get them paid off. Now, it's interesting, they kind of stay under the lease, they hold the title under the term, but you don't make payments on it. So,
That would come out of the 500,000.
but yeah, oh,
That's set aside.
absolutely.
Nothing to do. with it.
Yes, by all means.
And then do they still maintain?
Public Works is maintaining, we're just doing oil changes. And every 3 to 4 years, that vehicle will go, so we don't have brakes or tires or anything like that. Police vehicles, though, is different, because they put a lot of miles and you're using the brakes and tires a lot. And is Enterprise maintaining yours, or do you have a separate contract for that?
Well, the enterprise maintains.
Yeah.
we have
Okay,
a-
okay.
A maintenance agreement with them.
We're paying for it. They facilitate the maintenance,
They
but
facilitate.
yes, they facilitate the maintenance, but it's a cost to the city of Shelton.
And they're the maintenance experts, right? I mean, they can call the dealership, because I'm assuming a lot of it goes to the local dealership, right?
Yes, it's still a new program to us, so but yes, we can take it to several local.
Yeah.
Places.
And if they don't like the cost, they'll ask a lot of questions. They got certified mechanics, on staff, and it sounded like it was a pretty good program, so.
All right, Dan. And I guess the question was, I guess we didn't ask, you really need these two purchases.
Well, for the past 3 to 5 years, we have not seen a lot of increase in our ability to get police vehicles. These 5 in this last year made a huge dent. We're still experiencing a few vehicles that have over $100,000 or 100,000 miles on it. We have, and these 2 vehicles will replace 2 of our older Tahoes, which are, yeah, I was talking to Calvin about it yesterday, probably about 120,000 miles on them. These are old K9 units. And we just had another unit go down on us yesterday or the day before. We put on the motor. We're not gonna replace it due to mileage on it. It's $15,000 to fix, so we're gonna surplus that one as well. So we could limp along, but this would help us.
What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Cars.
All right.
It's some catch up, right, that we're performing here.
And we're trying to structure it where, after this next year, maybe, the following year, we only need 1 car
Right.
and then we can get on a better schedule. We're just trying to play catch up for the last few years where we just really didn't have a great luck on getting new vehicles.
Right, okay, online reporting. You said that county wasn't doing very well with it.
And the last I heard, county was not seeing the numbers that they anticipated from this program. Like I said, this program, it's on pause for us right now too, because we're still looking at it. So we haven't spent a dime on it yet.
We kind of heard that wasn't a priority in the
Right,
priority 2
exactly.
list, so we'll just
I say we
we'll
relook at it.
move on from that.
Wait,
And SWAT. That is for training and.
I think training and equipment, the equipment alone can cost, $6,000-7,000. We still have 1 officer on the SWAT team, so this one would just be an extra body of.
Don't have anybody on deck for that, do you? Like,
I'm sorry?
you don't have anybody lined up who's like just waiting for the money, right? Like,
No.
it's sort of.
No, absolutely not.
No,
Could we just bring this back? And like, cause if it came back in May, we'd know a lot more about budget. We have to be like, oh yeah, no, we got 13K.
We can implement this anytime we want. There's no really time element to it. So
I think it's part of that discussion with the public safety sales tax, exactly, we can refine the services that are provided from, that the sales tax and the grant would support, refine those services that are right now being provided, and then what has been asked for in the budget as well.
Right, now we're down to fire departments, lighting improvements. REIT money, are we okay with just? Enough read after the 200.
There is, it starts diminishing that fund balance as Councilman.
I mean, the downspout's been there for 50 years.
Yeah, I mean.
Is that important? I mean, it's $5,000, but is that?
Yeah, we'd like to address it. Is it degrading potentially, from splash on the brick and things like that? Could be. It's not the best case scenario. You could shoot it out further so it hits the parking lot, I guess, and.
Car wash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, I think there's some additional assessment we need to do. Obviously, when you do that assessment and find the best path forward, that's gonna determine and dictate the project and the associated budget.
Right, we okay with these REIT options or?
I'm the least comfortable with the library, when I feel like we throw money at the library. A lot of money, never a simple amount. So, out of all these, the one I'm least comfortable with.
Do we know how old the unit is there?
Oh,
The library?
Almost 30 years old. There's 5 different units there. We've replaced 3 of them.
Okay. I mean, I would say that we need an air conditioner in there in the summertime. We've got kids there reading books and stuff. I mean, I think that's probably important. Nobody wants to sit in a 100-degree building.
Culinary exchange is really important for the health of the building
Yeah.
and maintenance of the building as well.
I mean, I'd be okay with the library replacement.
I'm all in favor of the library and the public service that it provides, especially heat, coolness during the heat and warmth during the cold. And a place for people to expand their minds and read a book.
I'm okay with the fire department side improvements and the HVAC at the library. I'm not sure about the downspout civic center.
Can we do the civic center floor with Reed? I know it's not tagged, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I-
Sorry, is it not there? Yes, it could be because it's maintenance of a capital. It's,
Perfect. I'd lump all those in. I'm good with all four.
And the floor, yeah, I'm good with the floor too.
I've seen the floor and I, it's to be addressed.
I mean, we paid $3,000 to clean it, right? Alone? Wasn't it like 3,000?
Cheaper to fix than have somebody trip on it, so.
So,
I'm with you there.
all right, so we've got the center floor possible with REIT. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so now we are on to ongoing, right? You want to go there?
yeah, why not? We've got, what do we have? We have 17 minutes by that clock. I don't know what that clock says.
13.
Okay,
Well, we could get rid of the $12,000 because we got rid of the 30, we get rid of the 1,200. And then we're down to the one FTE HR technician. And explain that again really quick.
so this is support in HR and risk management, that will help in all the legal requirements we have in both of those departments, assist staff in training, onboarding, records management is really important as well, within those departments, working through,
Do they need a background check?
Help me out. Recruitment, sorry.
Claims are processed, our vehicle registers up to date, make sure I have to review the schedule for our property, make sure that's up to date. Administering and maintaining our federal state vehicle certificate.
Well, that's the cost of government. I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
So much that goes on.
I have a lot of heartburn about any ongoing costs, but like, I know you're not asking for something you don't need, so I have a hard time. I have a hard time saying no. So.
We're gonna have to add some numbers up here. We're not doing it. I'll start to do it in our head. And add some numbers up and bring that back to you. And there most likely are gonna be some things that we're gonna have to say. This falls outside of maybe the recommended fund balance expenditure. Okay, but at least we have some priorities.
And we need to be able to hire and fire and recruit if we're gonna grow as a city. So I think this is a really important expenditure in order to support recruiting and retaining our labor.
I agree. I think that I've been here sometimes in the daytime and seen everybody running around here trying to get stuff done, so. We hire staff.
We
for
are getting
everybody.
stuff done. I'm just trying.
No. Getting stuff done
Excuse me.
at the expense of
Rummy at
their smile. Okay, replace code enforcement vehicle. We crossed that out already for this year.
We're down to the patrol vehicles, which look like a reduction in the ongoing clock and taser being past that. We're down to the Mace Comp, which is kind of on hold. Right, we'll know what's going on there later. And then frankly, the last one would be the project coordinator, admin support in public works / potentially project coordinator, depending on how that is, how that's determined.
And this person does all special events, correct?
No, that's in the clerk's office.
Okay.
It formerly was so for a period of time. So people are correct in that, but the clerk's office is
I mean-
done it most of the years.
I guess I can't guarantee where it may be housed if this position's filled.
Does this help with like getting some of these projects done, these grants that we've got going on, that we
100%.
can't get those really going because we don't have enough people to
That's
monitor
correct.
them, so.
We have some grants that are delayed right now, that we got grant funding, but we don't have enough project coordinators to get them going.
All right.
Part of growth, so I'm indicating to that. Get our projects forward.
But it says here that it could be potentially utility funded or.
Again, we need to look at that IDC model, because you start changing that in the middle of it, and what a position was funded previously through IDC, the general fund, you take that out, you've got a 2-year lag that has an effect. Also, if it's utility funded now, or you funded out of utilities now, was that built into the utility budget? Was it built into the rate structure?
I mean, I think it's important that we start working on getting these grants out of our way, we can start getting more, and no sense applying for more grants if we can't get the grants projects going that we have, so I probably think that's probably important.
That's frankly a consideration we have, right? How much more, or,
We're at our
can
limit
we
right
take
now.
on, yeah.
We're over the top of our limits, and it just walk into Aaron's office and ask him what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that gets us through that list.
yeah,
And I think we had consensus to bring back everything in the public hearing. I mean, I'm sorry, for study session.
Yep.
The 3 options there, I mean, we really discussed level of service properly.
well, I think I found it there. I mean, I didn't hear we talked about street, we talked about police. The one area we haven't talked about is the animal shelter. That still is an ongoing expense that is increasing on a regular basis. So we've had some contact with the Humane Society. There's some interest there. It doesn't reduce the expense and what they're proposing right now. I'm hoping that we can have, more specific conversations and see how that goes.
Is that in the 26 projected budget already?
It is, because it was part of baseline budget. Yep. So I hope to bring that back to you as I don't know, study session item, or potentially a study session item, and see where that goes, so you can better understand that operation of what Humane Society would be proposing. But again, it's not a reduction in costs. It could be increased services for the same cost, and eliminate our administrative burden, right? By managing staff, managing the building and things like that for other staff. But again, that cost borne by them, they want the city to pay for that cost, so.
So do you want to know where we're comfortable with spending? I mean, we went through the list, I understand that, but like I said, I'm comfortable with starting out where we started out, 25 million of unrestricted, any fund balance. Starting there, we all have a number we want to stick with, because he's gonna bring that stuff back to us and say we're over 300,000.
You got it.
We're under 300,000. So are we, any of us comfortable with that amount? Starting where we started in 25. So 1.1 million is where we're comfortable. So, and you'll bring that list back again, if we're over that.
Yeah, we'll have some discussion. We'll maybe briefings or mix into, we might even bring it, to an agenda item really quickly. And then get some more feedback and refine this, so we have the ability to. We have the ability to develop a preliminary budget, so you can review it on our timeline, and we can get our statutory requirements to adopt this balanced budget.
Right.
Sorry, do you feel good about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Better?
Okay, good.
Well, it gives a start.
Yep.
Are you gonna sleep tonight?
Terry's going to WFOA tomorrow, driving to Bellevue tonight.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you should drive tomorrow. All right. Council,
Yeah. The city helicopter will take her.
Yeah, don't put.
is that on the list? I didn't see that in there. You asked for helicopter, I missed that.
It's not discretionary.
Council have any new items for discussion? I just wanted to, really quick, I know that it's a study session, but thank Terry and congratulate Terry and her staff for another exemplary audit from the state of Washington. We got 2 out of the way, we got 1 more coming, and we had an audit for our federal grants, passed that 100%, and what was the other one?
The financial.
Financial, and passed that also with no findings and no, not even any letters, correct? I don't remember any letters, so we got. And we have another accountability audit that should be done, shortly. They just got, state's too busy to do all 3.
In last summer, we went through a SMPD in like 15 minutes instead of an hour because we have a good reputation and they were like, it looked good.
It wasn't very long this time either.
Usually do them all together. The requirement to get our federal single audit into the feds, that's by September 3rd.
Congratulations. Again, I think this is multiple years, all the years I've been here, I think that we have passed our audits with no findings or a letter. And so it's thanks to Terry, her staff, and so thank you again. And you guys are doing a great job at keeping the books. So you can do my books if you want. All right. The study session is adjourned at 8:23 PM.
Thank you all. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. All right.